Episode 3, Varum the White. I have post-its, I have the module, drawn a map. I'm going to prep it and I'm going to show you additional things, reading between the lines and suggestions to change things. Literally just about to record. The electricity goes off briefly, and now alarms are going off. We have to start with a synopsis. The party are chasing Varum the White. He's a worm speaker able to control white dragons with his white dragon mask, except he's lost it. Or has he? The players don't know. The players hear that he's lost it and have to go and find him. He was last seen in the Serpent Hills. He travelled to the Serpent Hills, to Boreskaya Bridge, into the tent, to get sent all the way over to a tomb, actually 65 miles away. The tomb is a tomb of Diderius, who was a wizard. They kind of met with a dead end. Hopefully they'll break through that, or find their way through it, into a Yuan-Ti temple. There is Varum, beaten and bound. But who's who? Varum the White, real name Varumzord, is a male gold dwarf. He's lost the mask, and Severin will have him killed for this. Varum has gone to seek a divination pool to use and foresee where this mask is. A Zentarim thief stole the mask, but that doesn't really get mentioned here. As much as Varum does fear Severin, he could be convinced to betray the cult in some way. How would that be? An ambush? The location of the Well of Dragons? The location of a back entrance to the volcano? Maybe even telling them that Severin plans to do a ritual to release Tiamat. Diderius himself was a powerful wizard, and Diderius used the pool to seek wisdom and see things others couldn't see. He was not a greedy person. In fact, he even used his services for a small fee to help the townsfolk. Magic still lingers over the tomb, giving it the look of somewhere beautiful and opulent, but really it's so old. Behind that magical facade, it's run down, graffiti strewn, and desolate. But some traps do still linger, and there are even some residents from long, long ago. The Serpent Hills itself is a rocky range of hills. It used to be much more populated, but now dry and lifeless by comparison. Boreskaya Bridge is named after an adventurer called Boreskaya, who built the bridge from black granite to traverse some valley, now dry. This is all on the site of a battle between two gods, Cyric and Baal, and the bridge has renderings all on the side of it of this great battle. Now, paladins from Eltergard have actually built a keep next to it, and they survey the bridge and guard it from destruction. This might be just some information that's picked up along the way as they travel. They're not going to travel to the tomb until they've got to Boreskaya Bridge and the encampment what's there. A small settlement here is a collection of tents, wagons and caravans. You can introduce trade here to the party if people need to buy some things or sell some things for money. Maybe create a wacky merchant, memorable one. I just wrote tall elf, blue robes, long brown hair, doesn't like half-elves. Can do shocking grasp on people, especially people who've tried to steal or swindle her for the price. Her name is Olivier. She talks breathy, repeats the last word that you say before responding. Do you have any potions, my dear? Dear, yes, I do have some potions. Then you get led to Bolo's tent side inn. Bolo is a female halfling. It sounds more like an orc in my head. I would make them a male orc, but that's just me. Bolo will say, yeah, we saw him, Varum came in here, this guy came in here, killed someone in the bar, turned out to be a snake person and spying on the village, so he was lauded among us. Then he went off of that away. Follow the tracks if you want, it's in sand and rock. And then it's 65 miles. The book seems to be like, you're here, and then you're at the campsite. No direction of the 65 miles, apart from a potential Silent Hills encounters along the way type of thing. From those examples, I did 3 things. 1, goats. There's just some goats. It's a simple thing of have the goats come along, and some players will want to befriend them, some will want to eat them. It sounds like the word goats isn't going to produce anything, but it could very well lead to some weirdness. Goat races, for example. After that, I would say, okay, you walk further, you end up at this ruined settlement. You're basically foreshadowing the camp they're about to reach eventually. So there's it's obviously long since deserted campsite. There's signs that people used to be here. Vultures now swoop overhead. The vultures get nearer and nearer as they dare until somebody attacks, and you can decide, roll some dice. On an odd number, the vultures attack. On an even, they fly off. As you get more towards this tomb, I just put an ordinary snake going in front of them. A very, very easy kill. But again, foreshadowing, this is the land of snake people. They might be on foot, or of course they might be on horseback, having hired some from Boroskaya Bridge, or maybe they got a guide from the pub. That's really for them to dictate. You sit back. How are you going to get there, by the way? You don't know how far these trails are going to go. Maybe they have to camp out at this ruined settlement, and the person keeping watch at night or warming their hands over the fire just sees movement. It's actually tumbleweed. False alarm. So finally, the actual tomb campsite is in sight. I have drawn a map. So I've tried to replicate what's in the book. I've also separated it like this with the orange line because this is the tomb and there's a blocked wall there, a hidden entrance to this side. As they approach, there's an outbuilding here. I put barrels, nothing more interesting than that. When a character comes out, they find a scorpion on their back. That's just something I've wrote on there to embellish an empty place a little bit better. The lower campsite is much lower than this cliff face up to the top of the cliff. So there's a ladder being put here to get up to area 2. First of all though, there's a statue with its face smashed, and there's a statue with only half a head. These both give the warnings, they're in the book. The statues ask, do you seek wisdom or knowledge? You can come in, but as long as you give him the proper respect. My post-it to remind me when I'm looking is that everything looks nice but is not, and the magic will guide you if you are respectful. So take note of what your players do. Before we go any further in, my little map, this outhouse with a bedroll, 20 arrows in a quiver and a bottle of wine. You roll 1d10 to see whether it's off or not. So 1 to 5 is off, 6 to 10 is nice. I just imagine that this is a guy who got sent away on his own from the others in the camp. He talks about a campsite, put some old boxes in this bottom place. There's really nothing in that big building. At the bottom of a dry fountain, 3 trolls which dislocate themselves. That's in the book. So have a troll fight if you can, if they go exploring in these bottom outbuildings. So around the entrance is divination pool pictures. They walk in, there are 6 statues of hooded robes. They don't look into the hooded figures' faces. If they get caught by this trap, insanity for 1 minute, they're a gibbering wreck basically. It's just a cool little introduction. This is very cool. When they get in here and the tile floor comes alive, it's a chimera, but 2D tile one. So it's hard, when it looks at you, it's hard to attack it. It's so thin. That is really cool. You can even have that card in the map if you've got one big enough. We'll go through the stat blocks later. I've wrote safe because on that door is wrote safe. They walk into 5. It also says safe on the back. You can pour water into here, which pours into the divination pool, making it work. But on the way through this door, there's a collapsing ceiling. I've drawn arrows in the back of here because they were shot. This guy was shot from here. This is the dwarf sacrifice that Varum used to use the pool. Yeah, the pool would only work if some blood was shed. The next room is the Mummy Lord sarcophagus. Continual flame lights it. Behind these stone wall pictures and that one, 4 mummies come out and the Mummy Lord's in there. Now they'll realise probably maybe once this is a dead end, say, oh well, we've not been down this tunnel yet, taking them to the bearded devil's room. No one is allowed up to 11 without a fight. This room says danger. I put red locked doors on, so this goes underneath to area 11, with this going above. There's a little dumbwaiter that you can travel up and down in the wall. Inside room 11, 2 wraiths, 4 spectres. The binding brick, if you pull the odd looking brick out, the spirits disappear. So from the Chimera room, there's a bone boulder like Raid of the Lost Ark. Rushes into this incense smelling room. 6 mummies erupt from behind these tapestries. If you make the correct holy gesture, these doors swing open. You go in here, you have to make an offering to the clay golem. We will cover this more in detail down into Ilda's ghost library, and that's basically the tomb part. I just played Ilda like the librarian in Ghostbusters, where she can turn at any minute. She can give divination pool advice, as you know, but she's a ghost, and I think it's really important that one person gets possessed. So one humanoid that a ghost can see within 5 feet must succeed on a DC 13 charisma or be possessed by the ghost. The possession lasts until that body drops to 0 hit points, or the ghost is turned out by an effect like Dispel Evil and Good Spell. So you've got to knock this person unconscious before they can be healed and brought back without being possessed. I think that's cool. But she's a nice person, it's just that you've got to respect her. She knows that Yuan-Ti dwell downstairs, so she will tip them off that there's a secret room somewhere, there's a secret door area. She won't know where it is, she's been stuck in this library forever. So essentially you've got the trolls outside. You have to have the players be respectful as they walk through. There are warnings, but not everyone's going to heed it. So if the players on coming in didn't say wisdom or knowledge, they gave some quip, they won't hear the voice in their heads as they walk through the masked faces. Some secrets are not meant for mortal minds to know. Look away from the darkness in which such knowledge hides. If you look into the HUDs, you have to make a suggestion spell save. And that can be funny when you're out of your wits and you walk into the room where there's a tile chimera gets up from the floor, which is so cool. You're in trouble. Because the thing has wings, the chimera will fly up to a ledge. It's magical, so just allow it to do magical things. It sprays tiles instead of bleeding. That's so good. There's the whole putting water into the divination pool to make it usable. And water evaporates through magic. So they either have to do it really fast or pour all their water skins in to the pool. Or, somebody might have to create water. When any water hits the pool, it spreads out and flares with the black light. Any character who received Ilda's warning will hopefully declare that he or she looks away. Otherwise, suggestion spell save. If you fail, you basically try and drown yourself and go temporarily insane for a minute. You can have them pulling their hair out, taking off their clothes, smacking their head on the stone, doing D4 damage every real game minute until someone stops them. So I've got all my monster cards out and extra ones that you could use alternatively. Diderius is in this sarcophagus. He's now a mummy lord. If the party was nice about Diderius, he just opens the fresco on the wall. You can walk right through. Disrespect will bring you the mummy lord out, the 4 mummies in. The mummy lord has its legendary actions, 3 saves basically, 3 auto saves. Multi-attack, dreadful glare, immunity to necrotic poison. The stat block's great. You can do a whirlwind of sand, but all the time they must be being attacked by the mummies as well. Don't just do the mummy lord on its own, because it's much more satisfying for people to have to think, what do I do? Do I heal them? Do I attack the mummy? Do I go for the mummy lord? Do I run away? So through this hole, there's 6 lizard folk. They retreat if 3 are killed to the bridge area. Massive drop, 80-foot drop. So I've wrote you drop down to young snakes. There's an athletics check to eventually climb back up. Do reinforcements come from area 17 through the shrine room? Up to you. Just remember that these corridors make you go all dizzy, like you've took some drugs. And that's so that lizard folk can come running from the final area, or even burst through this ambush door, as I've called it. So maybe they come down to the shrine. There's 2 statues in here. Another cool thing, the snakes that go into the armour to make helmed horrors. That's really clever. I wrote trash room. You can come down that corridor, there's a trap to stand on. I wrote S just there because there's a secret door. Seems like a dead end. It comes into empty cells, which is dull. I wrote that there's some food bones from the prisoners and some maybe feces stains. But you come down here to hopefully sneak up into the temple a bit better. But we get to the last room. Here is the main Yuan-Ti, which in the book is an abomination. Varum is beaten and bound. It lists 3 purebloods, 2 Malisons, Abomination, and lizard folk hiding in the shadows. Green flames coming out of the statues. Footprints, I would say. The treasure room, do loads of sandy footprints. I imagine this to be mostly sand. Behind the statue, as you know, it's a way out at the end. So let's talk about this position. So the guy holding Varum is a UNT Abomination. Challenge 7. Magical resistance, multi-attack, 2 range attacks, 3 melee attacks. He's holding the Daggertooth dagger to Varum's neck. He's already bound up though. I've given him a name in case they ask. Ashisa. They will cut a deal rather than just kill him. They say don't kill any more UNT and we'll give you this dude. But we've already took his soul. His soul's been extracted and we will eventually transport that back to him. But really they've just been torturing Varum to the end of his wits. She will try suggestion to make the players surrender, or at least lay prone, lay flat on their face so everyone can get the jump on them. That secret treasure room is pretty good. A levitation scroll, a call lightning scroll, and you can exit the tomb behind some rocks and shrubbery. Nobody would know that that's the fast way into the temple. Right, since I can't find my troll card officially, you've seen me do this before probably. Hit points, regen 10 HP, and I'll try and make sure I notice that. So he makes 3 attacks, bite plus 7, average damage every time. 2 claw attacks, sorry. Plus 7, I mean easy to remember, 11 damage. If you want to make it more interesting, this entry in green, loathsome limbs. Whenever the troll takes at least 15 slashing damage, roll a d20 and look at that, the troll is decapitated. But the troll only dies if it can't regenerate. If it dies, so does the severed head. If the head is severed, the troll loses its bite attack and its body is blinded unless the head can see it. You get the idea, it's just good inspiration. Right, chances are, other than the trolls, you walk in, Chimera. Mummy and Mummy Lord, there's so much, you might want to get the book out. So I can easily just post it out, AC 11 of the Mummy. Plus 5 to hit, 10 bludgeoning, 10 necrotic, DC, con save, or cursed. A couple of times if you look, the target can't regain hit points. Its hit points is decreased by 10 every 24 hours until somebody cures them. That can speed that up. Mummy Lord, I probably won't do a post-it note. Bursting through to Stickle is lizard folk. Then purebloods, snaky people, but not full snakes. There's always the lizard shaman if you really want to beef up some lizards. They're only challenge 2, so they can do spells though. Thorn Whip's good. Heat Metal, if they're wearing armour. Can change into a crocodile. Damn, crocodiles. Whoa, good. Crocodiles do a bite and grapple, which is pretty nasty. So I have 2 pictures for you, anti-Malison. Challenge 3. Can do suggestion, but really I just use this for fighting. They can constrict you and bite you. They use scimitar and longbow. A bit of everything really, those. Oh, I've even got another Malison, so you can look at the pictures of these and describe them so they look different. In extended reading, if you really want to look up these books, there's UNT Whisperer, UNT Master, and a UNT Anathema. This big boy is 12 challenge raid. Can't even be stunned by those pesky rogues. And if you really want to take it to the players, that should be the boss at the end, not the Abomination. So in one of the rooms there's wraiths and spectres. Spectres, life drain. Succeed on a DC 10 con save, or your hit point maximum is reduced by the damage taken. And then with wraiths doing the same life drain ability but a different con save of 14, that's a lot of health points being sapped out of you. Then we have the clay golem that is a statue in room 8. 2 slam attacks basically. Maybe have him smash into the floor and then rather than describe it as a fist attack, he picks up part of the broken floor and hits them with that. All the same damage, plus 8 to hit, 16 bludgeoning damage on average. And all of these you can give special attacks to. By special attack, I mean when a monster reaches half hit points, or you can say it's blooded, or also if they get crit by the players, you can give them a made up furious attack. Either double, if they can hit twice, make them hit 4 times on that turn. They go into a frenzy. Or just double the damage for a usual attack, because they're hitting harder. it breaks things up. It makes things more interesting than bite, 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 slam, slam, slam. Next monsters. Poisonous snakes. Now, you can have poisonous snake, swarm of poisonous snakes, or giant poisonous snake, or giant constrictor snake. These are all quite easy kills, but it's a snake place. Wait, giant poisonous snake has talons? I don't know what's going on with that one. Bite and constrict, grapples. Swarms can poison you. Poisonous snake, piercing damage and poison. And then there's a little scorpion I put in on the guy's back. I mean, any damage it takes, it's dead. The snakes go into those armours, making helmed horrors. Helmed horrors are challenge for immune to force, necrotic and poison, advantage on saves for spells, 2 longsword attacks, 8 slashing damage or 9 slashing damage if used with 2 hands. There's 2 of them, don't forget. AC 20. So they hit pretty nasty, but they're hard to hit. And that's going to be a full session, so what I would do is take my Horde of the Dragon Queen DM screen. I can cover these with the stats. I will save the conditions page, but other than that, it's fair game. That is on the way to the camp, that's outside the temple. That's inside the temple. My conditions are spare, and I have the UNT side. Each room I put on little post-its of what's in it, but I can just put these on my DM screen like this. I wrote on the 5 bearded devils work for the cult for Lord Zariel, who wants Tiamat out of the 9 hells. When they get talking to them, that's just a quick note to remember why they're there. I have UNT boss. I have, at the end, Varum saw the dragon mask found when he looked in the pool. It is at the Well of Dragons. The Well of Dragons is a volcano, he says. And with the 1A4 of notes that I read out to you about Diderius and the Serpent Hills, my book of the campaign out, my DM screen, I've utilised everything apart from this big flappy map. I don't know how you're going to do your maps. I tend to fire the actual picture of the map to the screen and enlarge it to the rooms that they're in. Yes, they sometimes see S for secret room, but I want them to at least have the opportunity to not just walk straight past it. They still have to roll to get in. And I'm on their side. You know, I want them to discover every little bit, every cool item. So I want the opportunity to just be laid there, open. They might see it says S, but not roll high enough. Sorry guys, you don't see it. If you really don't like that, you draw it room by room as you go. You can get those 2-sided mats. Get these 2-sided big mats. This stone side for the temple, and then you flip it over and you're in the underground snake bit. I think it was the wilderness tile set that actually has sand in. Yeah, so there's loads of sand tiles that you can get, and you just create your own sandy oasis, just to give them an idea. Finally, do they kill Varum or do they save him? It doesn't matter. They get just as high praise from either way. Although if you look at the scorecard on killed Varum, there's actually 7 people like the fact that you've killed Varum. 9 people like that you've captured Varum, so they would get more points for capturing him. But hey, it's their game. The only problem you might come across is when they get to the Mummy Lord room, they don't know where to go, they just turn around. Well, it's dead end. Dead ends are a sign to search the room. Even down near the cells, the one's a dart trap. It's a dead end, so obviously you need to look for something. There should really be one player who always checks corridors for traps and secret doors, in my opinion, but it's knowing when to do it. And what if players die in here? I would get them to roll the monsters, hand them the monster card and say, right, you're playing that, you have to try and kill these guys. That's how I include them, and say, next time you're going to be back at the council with a new adventurer, and say to the players, just summarise what your characters have seen that he hasn't, or she. And then they have to head to the forest area for the next part. Unless they've already done it, they'd have to go back to the council. Please let me know if I was in-depth enough, give me pointers, what information was lacking. Maybe take a look at this video next. Thanks for watching, see you later.